So, Path of Fire releases tomorrow. It's come really goddamn quick. Now, there's been a lot of guides and things online that have talked about preparing for Path of Fire. All the things that players should do in order to get their accounts ready so they can breeze through and complete it as quickly as possible and max all the masteries as fast as possible and do this, and this, and then, you know, get in and out within just a couple of days. I did a video a little bit like that before Heart of Thorns came out, and for this time around, since we've still got a bit before POF actually drops, I wanted to talk to you all a little bit about my impressions now, just before POF releases, and give you some ideas about things you can do to get more enjoyment out of the expansion. Because there's actually quite a lot that I've found myself doing and setting up over the past week or so in anticipation for this big content drop. Now, of course, you can just play. You can go on your main character, dump yourself in and go completely on rails, but there might be some interesting things to think about, and I wanted to share with you all a little of what I've been doing with my account. I don't often do videos like this at the moment, so hey, why not? So first, let's log in on our main and talk about some basic stuff. Stuff that really, if you've got any common sense, you're probably doing already, but maybe there's some worthwhile reminders here. And so first of all, when you're going into the expansion pack, one thing you might want to prepare over the next little bit before it drops is looking at your various currencies and things in your wallet, and just making sure you're at a healthy amount of most of them. So like there could be something that costs tons of spirit shards in the expansion. You might want to have a lot of those. You might be asked to spend some laurels. You might find that there's a lot of skins and things, so it's worthwhile playing some PvP or World vs. World at the moment to get your transmutation charges up. Just generally making sure you've got a nice spread of different currencies might be cool. Now, obviously, the dungeon currencies really don't matter, and the map currencies really don't matter, because we're moving on from these maps and we're moving on from those dungeons, unless there's some kind of massive shock change to dungeons, but I seriously doubt that. But when it comes to general currencies, really want to look at these. The one specific I wanted to point out on this video for myself is karma. So what I've actually been doing is karma draining my account. So I know that the standard fare of gaming culture, and especially MMO culture these days, is to try and get everything as fast as possible. And so generally the advice you'll see from people is hoard karma. I've actually been spending a lot of it. Living World Season 3, especially the last map, but all of the maps with the hearts, have added tons of sinks for karma, like really expensive minis and tonics and stuff. Karma I've always kind of disliked in Guild Wars 2 in that it's always been in abundance, and I've never really cared about it or thought of it. Well, Living World Season 3 did a lot to improve that, and especially Siren's Landing, the last map, added a collection that requires an enormous amount of karma, which I've been hungrily, greedily going for, just A, to feel finished with the Living World Season 3 and all the Heart of Thorns stuff, as I've been showing off on various streams, but also because I kind of like the idea of going into the X-Pack with very low amounts. So that might just be something to think about. You guys will have to decide. You're probably going to decide you want tons of currencies, but I myself am sort of looking forward to, when I buy the last item for this collection, I'll be at 0. I'm kind of looking forward to going in there with nothing and seeing all these vendors with things that I like the sound of, and then having that actual experience of playing a game and working towards something, which Guild Wars 2, when you spend tons of hours in, starts to not offer very well, I think. That's the kind of main advice you'll find online, and it is important advice. There could be new skins, there could be new that you want to buy and you want transmutation charges for. There could be new stat types, like we know Grievers is going to be a thing. I'm actually returning to my main. I haven't played very much DPS LE lately, and I'm going to be returning to my main class for this expansion. Not on this specific character, but I will be. And so, like, I'm going to be looking forward to getting that new stat set, so maybe it might be worth looking into that. There could be new runes, new foods, new sigils, new minis that you like, new legendary stuff. Not any weapons, as we know, but they might add something like Aurora in again. There's going to be rare collections and all that kind of stuff. The other big thing that you might want to think about are hero points. So if you're a fairly new Guild Wars 2 player or you don't play very much, you might not have world completion, and you also might not have done the previous expansion, Heart of Thorns. And in that situation, you might not have any hero points. Hero points are spent on unlocking the new elite specialization. And again, this is a thing where I think your average player just wants the elite specialization as quickly as possible. And the thing is, if you're an established player and you've done all of map completion and you've done all of the previous expansion, you can have a lot of unspent hero points. See, on my main hero, I've got 364 just in waiting. Now, we don't know 100% how the devs are going to organize this for the expansion. They might not let us spend these on the new elite spec, but there's a good chance they also will. So if you really just want that elite spec instantly and you don't care about that feeling of progression and exploring and unlocking new traits and skills as you go, you can kind of stockpile these, and that's another thing you might want to look into just before the X-Pack comes out. But again, it's up to you. See, for me, similar with the karma thing, My perspective's a little different. I'm actually going to be playing on a new character in this expansion. I've built a new character. You guys might not know, but a couple of weeks ago with one of the last big patches, they added a ton new race customization options for humans so that you can look like a character native to the region this expansion is taking place in. You can look like an Alolan. And so I took advantage of that and made a new character, which I'm very excited about for many reasons. One of them is hero points. So if we have a look here at my training wheels on this character, I only have 1. So I don't have map completion. I have all of the core stuff unlocked. You know, I've maxed out signets and arcane stuff, and I've learned how to specialize in fire fully, in air and earth and water. But I don't have... I've only just gone as far as unlocking the previous elite spec. I got nothing. And so Weaver's going to come out in this expansion, and I'm really looking forward to having nothing, basically, and being able to explore the Crystal Desert and, you know, really caring about doing those hero challenges and stuff and getting the max enjoyment out of that exploration. I know it's not for everyone, but I thought it'd be interesting to share with you guys that that's how I'm doing it. And I actually think that doing the opposite of stockpiling everything in some ways can be quite fun. So let's go on to some more specific stuff. As I said, I've made this new character. I made a character that I wanted to look quite fitting for the expansion. I really don't like these ghostly infusions. I should probably take off of my armor at some point. But I've made a new character so that I can experience sort of a fresh start, if you will, not just in terms of hero points, but also story too. So we all know that the expansion's taking place in this new extended area of the map down here, the Crystal Desert and various regions of Elona. One thing you guys might want to think about if you're going to make a new character for the expansion as well, and it's going to be human, is like what story options you may wish to pick, because there's a very specific route you can play through on the personal story that might be really fun. Remember how Heart of Thorns with the jungle had all this specific dialogue and really interesting stuff going on if you were a Sylvari. Like, you'd hear Morgemoth in your mind. There was even a moment where things turned a bit open world PvP, just if you were that specific race. Well, there's a chance that this next expansion will have a similar leaning on one of the races, and if it's any, it might be human. I don't know whether it will be as strong or severe as we saw the Sylvari side things. The narrative doesn't exactly call for it. But given all of that, if you make a new human, there are some fun decisions you might like to make. So I'll go story journal here. So this is my new character, and I deliberately chose some specific stuff here. For example, you are asked to be blessed by a god in human character creation, and I think that choosing Balthazar might be really fun for this story. It might unlock some special dialogue, we don't know, but that's an interesting choice. The other one as well is Cormyr. Remember, we're going to a region of the world where lots of people really care about Cormyr, and being blessed by Cormyr might be a cool option for this expansion also. Your personality thing doesn't matter, as we all know. That's been called out at Guild Wars 2. Your background doesn't really matter too much. I chose Commoner. But here's a great story as well. You can choose Dead Sister, and if you choose the Dead Sister story, you'll actually be able to play through personal story and determine where your family is from. And you can say, hey, yeah, my sister is of Canthan descent, or Crichton, or Ascalonian, or Elonan. And if you choose Elonan, she'll like have an Elonan complexion, and that could maybe affect something in the upcoming expansion as well. So there is a very specific selection of choices you can make at character creation that could pay off. And then there's another thing to think about as well. Back to Heart of Thorns again. If you played Heart of Thorns on a character who had finished the personal story, at the end of Heart of Thorns, there was a moment in the mist or in this dream where you have one of your dead mentors revive before your eyes. You could meet Forgul or Tibble or Siren again. If you hadn't done the personal story, that would instead be Traherne, but they paid off on that. Now, this expansion is taking us to the Crystal Desert, where, guess who? The Order of Whispers, or Order of Shadows, there may now be, whatever it is that's going on. The Order of Whispers originated from here. One of the main antagonists of this story is Palawa Joko, that the Order of Whispers was founded to watch over and keep guard of. So, if you play the personal story just before POF comes out, you can get to the point where you select an order, and you can choose to have an Order of Whispers character go into this expansion, and that might also unlock some extra stuff. So for all of these reasons, I made a new toon, and maybe you guys might want to look into doing that as well. It will give you that nice, good, fresh start. So, some other things as well, along the hero point kind of idea that I was talking about. There are also boosters to discuss. So maybe you want to start with very low currencies, but you want to earn a lot of them very quickly. Maybe you don't like the idea of ever having to deal with experience in an MMO and you want to rush through. We already know that the mastery system is tuned to be really quite fast in getting your masteries. But if you want to speed that up, you can. This was true in Heart of Thorns also. In Heart of Thorns, it was perhaps more important because the initial balance of Heart of Thorns had experience be very slow to gain, or you needed a lot, and then they nerfed it all. or they buffed it all, if you will, so that we get it much quicker now. But there are boosters in the game, of course. I probably aren't going to use any, but a couple to think about, guys, if you don't just want to use regular XP boosters. Now, remember, you can buy boosters with laurels. So anyone who has any laurels can get quite a lot of long-duration boosters. But birthday boosters, if you're a returning player and you've got a character that's 1 year old, 2 years old, or whatever, a birthday booster is probably all I will use. If you double-click this, it lasts an entire day, and it just doubles a lot of the stuff that you get. So I think that's quite nice. The other thing as well are fireworks. So these are items from one of the festivals that periodically comes into Guild Wars 2. You can shoot fireworks, like so. And what it does is it puts a buff on you that gives you even more experience. The thing about this buff is it gives you extra experience from all sources that aren't double-clicking items. And that's a huge amount of sources, which is quite different to regular XP boosters, which are just giving you experience for, like, on kill. This will boost your experience when you unlock new regions of the world and do all kinds of stuff, event XP, and so on and so on and so on. So yeah, those are things to think about. I'm not going to be caring too much. This is probably the most I would do, some fireworks and a birthday booster. I found in Heart of Thorns that the masteries leveled too quickly for my tastes. There are even less tiers of masteries and stuff in Path of Fire. There are less masteries to go for because it's just the mounts. So hey, but if you want all your mounts done super fast, that's something to think about. There's also, by the way, food that can give you extra buffs. So think about like this. I'm going to be running pumpkin oil, which gives me extra magic find. There's utilities that can give you extra karma as well if you want to do that. Those are the icicles from Winter's Day. So maybe you want to think about those. But again, that's all pretty boring stuff in my opinion. So the next thing I want to talk about, guys, is the account slots in my inventory. So you'll notice my inventory is set up in a very specific way. This is how I'm going to try and extract maximum fun from POF. And so I want to talk about the things that I'm taking with me into the desert on all of my characters, essentially. So first of all, we'll work our way from the right across. So first we've got the Infinite Mist Omni Potion. That's for fractals, which I anticipate I'll continue doing each day. So I'm going to leave that there. But first I've got the Copperfed Salvage-O-Matic. This is for salvaging all of the items in my inventory. If you're a new player, please, for the love of God, pay attention to this. You can right-click items like this and salvage all, and it will do everything in your inventory. Too many people still don't know that exists. So yeah, you got that. I also made myself a Mystic Salvage kit for salvaging all of my rares and exotics, unless I use Black Lion kits, which are in my bank still. You can make this very easily in the Mystic Forge by combining each of the tiers of regular salvage kits along with a Mystic Forge stone. Very simple. Then I've got, like, Black Lion stuff, which I've slowly been accruing through my Heart of Thorns days. So, teleports to friends. I've got 63 of these bad boys. These are really fun. With these, all you can do is join any party or any squad. And in fact, I'll demonstrate this to you. Oh, I'm appearing offline, so maybe it won't work. But if I go to, like, Central Tyria here, we'll see, look, these guys are in the Silver Wastes. What I can do is join their squad and immediately just pop a TP to a friend, and all these names will appear. And I can just hit that, and it will take me across the entire world to their specific mega server instance and in with the squad. And it will do that straight away. Or anyone on your friends list that you're in a party with or whatever. It's great. TPs to a friend will be really nice for like the new bounty system. And here, see, I can charge along already and I can do my Silver Waste farm. TPs to a friend I'm going to really enjoy, and I've stockpiled tons of them, so yay. TP Expresses, I'm only going to use quite rarely, but if I ever want to suddenly buy an item out in the desert, I got those. Bank Access Express, the value of that is also self-evident. I have very few Revive Orbs, but these will be nice. These allow you, when you die, to instantly come back to life anywhere you like, as long as it's not a raid. And so those are obviously going to be handy as we play through the new story and stuff. So now here's some fun things, okay? Like, that's all just general, normal stuff. Here's some fun things. I'm also going to be running some slaying potions. So these do exist in Guild Wars 2. I wish Guild Wars 2 rebalanced these or changed these, added a Courtier mastery that dealt with alchemy and stuff, because I think it could be really fun. But there are going to be enemies in the desert, obviously. And there's a chance that some of them will interact with these potions that most people don't think about. And these are all very strong. So these potions give you a flat 10% more damage against certain types of foes. And you reduce that kind of damage from foes. Now, this is something I really like to play with in RPGs. I like teching and drinking and eating certain foods to counter certain enemies. And I want a bit of that experience in Path of Fire, even if the devs aren't necessarily thinking about it anymore. So I've added 3 different slaying potions. There are probably some others. But there's a chance we'll find some demons in the expansion. So I got Demon Slaying. I've also got Elemental Slaying. We've already seen from the demos that there are elementals. The Djinn might even count as elementals in the desert, which would be pretty fun. So, you know, I'll run over and I'll be able to drink one of these potions just before I fight one of those. I think that'll be a cool experience. And lastly as well, remember, Palawa Joko is in the desert. And so he commands the undead. Now, his version of undead are called Awakened. So there's a chance this won't work, but I've got undead slaying as well. Now, these work in core Guild Wars 2 stuff to do with Zaitan's armies, but maybe these will work against Palawa Joko's enemies as well, and that'll be a fun thing to play with. So, yeah, I've got these. I don't think there's a branded slaying potion, sadly, and obviously we're expecting a lot of branded stuff upcoming, so that's a shame. But yeah, I also just noticed in the background, by the way, when you've got a new character, you can obviously play Fashion Wars 2 on them. And don't forget to set up a cool mini and stuff. I've got a snowman, because I think having a snowman in the desert is going to be a totally badass experience. And you can play around with the gliders and stuff, obviously, as well. But I'm pretty sure this snowman's going to be going through all of it with me. And I don't know, I just like that idea. So yeah, that's these. And I've got some slots for others, if I ever think of them. And then I've got fun items, okay? So let's work from left to right this time. First of all, I have my invitation to the Lily of the Ellen. If you guys bought Deluxe or Up version of the expansion, you get this. Many of us have stuff like the Mistlock Sanctuary or the Airship or whatever these days. I like the idea of using the expansion-specific one in the expansion. So that's the Lily of the Ellen. This currently doesn't work. If I double-click this, it will only work once we've completed the start of the Path of Fire story. But once we've done that, that should be pretty fun, and I think it will be cool to see all the players there. I've also got a magic carpet. So mounts are coming in the expansion. We know that. And mounts kind of replace this idea of this item. So the magic carpet is known as a toy. It's like a riding toy. There are only a couple of them in the game, but this is kind of like deserty and fun. So I think when I'm not on a mount, I'm probably going to ride around on a magic carpet just for funsies. And to improve that as well, I even have the magic carpet glider too. So if we climb up on this rock and I jump off, now sadly they never sold these together in the gem store, or people who originally owned the carpet never got the glider for free, but I actually glide on a carpet as well now, which also feels really good, and there's obviously going to be a lot of gliding going on, so that'll be a nice little perk for being a Heart of Thorns and Path of Fire owner together. So that was something I thought about. The other thing, similar to the snowman thing, is, again, with mounts, you cannot be in a tonic when you're on a mount. You can't, like, you know, become a beetle and then ride around on a giant raptor. As fun as that would be, the devs disabled it. Now, in Season 3 of The Living World, the devs added some special new tonics and functionality to certain other tonics, or one other tonic, called combat tonics, which mean you can drink a tonic and actually fight in it. So this is the Endless Kodan tonic, and I can become a polar bear, and I can run around. I can actually kill stuff as a polar bear, which is quite special for tonics. Now, and that's endlessly available to me. Now, this is also disabled for mounts, so I can't be a polar bear riding on a raptor or a polar bear riding on the jackal or any of that stuff. But I still think it will be cool for the downtime when I'm not on a mount to be in my Kodan form. So who knows, this could be pretty fun. And being a Kodan that rides around on a magic carpet would also be cool, but I don't think they actually work together, which is a bit of a shame. But yeah, so that's another thing I've got there and I kind of want to explore with. Now, the next two items I'm actually very excited about. First of all, let's talk about the Bobblehead Laboratory. I'm going to be running around with this. What this does is when you can double click it, it allows you to place an item on the ground next to you. And when you drink from this, you can choose to chug it for a really long-lasting effect or just take a small sip. We're going to take a small sip here. And what that's going to do is give us a giant bobblehead, a massive giant bobblehead. Now, why this is going to be so fun in the expansion, and any other players can run over to this, why this is going to be fun in the expansion is, as I showed off on a recent stream, if you do this on mount back, your mount's head will become enormous as well, and raptors just look ridiculous with the bobbleheads. I think this will be a real fun thing to play around with in the expansion. People were discovering this during the demo and dropping tons of these laboratories, so I'm going to quite enjoy being able to place this for other players to drink from and then experience the hilarity that is being on a bobble-headed mount. So that's nice. And then the other thing as well, I only very recently got, but is a Belcher's Bluff kit. So one thing I kind of don't like about Guild Wars 2 is there's not enough reason to interact with other people and play together. And like really discuss things. But this should be fun. So Belcher's Bluff, most people have forgotten about at this point. But it's kind of a mini game. It's kind of like what you'd experience in other MMOs where you can duel people, you can play card games with people. This is the close Guild Wars 2 gets. And it's Belcher's Bluff. It's like a game of bluff, as you'd expect. Let me get out of Kodan form here. Where you can sit down, again, like another table. And you can play against your opponent. Once upon a time, I had a long time ago, did a stream with another streamer where we like had a little fight and people voted on who was going to win. I think this will be fun, just to meet random people in the desert and drop this down and, you know, just make friends, basically. So that's something that I want to take advantage of when Path of Fire comes out. Like, it's all about having a clean slate for me and, you know, taking advantage of these new fun things. We're really not recording this video in the best place, are we? Constantly being attacked by monsters, but hey, that's fine. We will work our way through it. So yeah, and then I got a couple of slots left, but that's how I've worked out my account slots, and hopefully there'll be some other fun things. Moving on, there are some other things to talk about now. There's the Executioner's Axe. This always used to be in my account slot. It's not going to be anymore. So what this was is a movement item that allows many builds to have insane movement speed, especially on Mirage. This is slated to be really strong. I haven't used this for so long, to be honest. I can't even really remember how you're supposed to do it. I think it's the 6 you trigger at the end. Yeah, so you just do that. You can charge, and then you can wait a second, and you can charge. And any class in the game can do this. So it's very cool, but now we have mounts, so I don't really think it's so important, but something you guys might want to consider. Another thing you guys might want to consider is the metabolic primers and the utility primers, which mean any food you pop lasts 12 hours. So this might be fun to start Path of Fire off and just drink one of these, eat your food, and then you just don't have to worry about that consumable for the first starting hours. So I'm debating whether I want to do that, but I'm thinking, just like with these potions, I'll probably be swapping a lot, and I don't really care too much. And so the other funny thing people have been talking about that I kind of just want to see is there's been an ascended item in the game for ages called Palawa Choco's Finger Cuff, and I really hope that the devs allow any player holding that in their inventory to get a special interaction of some kind. I seriously doubt they'll do it, but I've got it here on the character I intend to play in the desert with, all the same, just in case. And so yeah, really that's the bulk of my inventory. Moving to the bottom, I've actually got my gear, obviously. So I have geared this character out. I've maxed their inventory out. I want their inventory to be as clear as possible. These items really aren't going to be in there by the time the expansion comes out, these ones here. So it's all going to be nice and clean. But what I've done is I'm playing Elementalist. So I've got all the different Ellie weapons, and I've got Ascended Ellie weapons. I don't think they have sigils in them yet, no. Or they're not infused or anything, but they do have cool skins. They've got Abaddon skins on them. Just because that's the current set, and it's a set that really captured me. I usually don't care about Blackline stuff, but I've got that. So I've got a full set of Abaddon stuff. So this is the Abaddon staff I'm holding at the moment. I can go dagger focus, or I can go scepter focus, or and so on. So I've got those set up, and they'll be swappable. I'll also get a sword for when Weaver comes out, so that I can swap that on. But over here, you'll notice I've got tons of different runes. So, legendary armor is a thing now, and light is the version of legendary armor that I've worked on crafting. So, I can actually stat swap and rune swap at any point I like. So, this is a privilege very few Guild Wars 2 players will have, but I'm really going to try and take advantage of this in the expansion. So, what I've done is I've set myself up with a ton of fun runes. So, this is, if anyone takes anything majorly away from this video, I really want it to be this, okay? You don't have to adhere to meta when you're in open world. When you're playing story, when you're experiencing new stuff, you don't have to care about fractal meta, raiding meta, or what anyone else tells you to play. Your enjoyment is your enjoyment. And you don't need to run around on berserker gear with scholar runes and think that that's even going to be good in the first place. So what I'm currently set up on is Assassins, and I would seriously recommend people think about this. Assassins has always been one of the best stat sets for open world. Most players run Zerk and they think that that's great. It's actually not. Zerk is good in organized group content where you can rely on warriors and rangers and so on, other players to give you fury and stuff to put you to 100% critical chance. But in the open world, where you're not going to be running around with a perfect comp with other players, your crit chance could use going higher, and running Assassin's gear on most classes is a really good idea. It means that you're basically going to get 100% crit on your own, and generally speaking, you'll do way more damage, kill stuff way more comfortably than Berserker can accomplish. Seriously. So a lot of people think, oh, there's a big Zerk meta in Guild Wars 2. At this point at the start of an expansion, if you're going to run anything, if you want to run a glass cannon, feel free to run a glass cannon. I'm not telling you shouldn't, but actually think about what kind of glass cannon you should run, and generally speaking, Assassins is the best way to go. So that's what I've got to set up. I've got my Assassin stuff going on. I've got my Rurik's Ring from Season 3. You could run the new Legendary as well, Aurora if you like, but I don't like all these auras. I'm going to be turning these off for the expansion. So I'm not running Aurora. But yeah, so I'm currently set up on Assassin, but again, your fun is your fun. And so the runes I've currently got a Scholar, but there's a lot more interesting, fun runes, and it doesn't matter if you're not perfectly min-maxed, if there's an extra bit of flavor you can derive from it. So knowing that I can for free swap runes because I've been lucky enough with Legendary Armor, I've got all these other fun things that I've got set up just because for a change of pace and just as I play through. So I've got Ogre runes here where I can run around and get a Rock Dog every now and then, an ally that will charge around alongside me. I've got Flame Legion runes, which generally speaking are great runes and better than Scholar for open world because you're not necessarily always going to be health health capped, and in terms of open world bosses and stuff and group events in the open world, there's nearly always going to be burning there. Plus, I'm going to be on a Weaver, so I'm going to get burning. Another rune that I've got are privateer runes. So these give us, we're going to die here. We're actually buried inside these roots right now, which is incredible, actually. The game has buried us inside the roots, and now we're dead. But yeah, so I've got privateer runes. We can summon a parrot. We get lots of might and power. Here we got citadel runes. We can summon a bomb whenever we're struck. We've got a spare set of scholar there. I should probably put in the bank. Crate runes for if I ever want to start running Condi stuff. Ranger runes for more damage with an active companion. I've always liked in open world. And Balthazar runes here as well for if I'm going to start running proper Condi Weaver stuff. So I've just got a selection of different runes just for fun. And I think that that's kind of the spirit of what this video is supposed to be about, really. It's taking that fun into my own hands. And again, the same is true for sigils, but sigils you can't freely swap, so I'm not doing. But foods as well. I'm running pumpkin oil because I think that this will be fun when the expansion comes out, like to be able to res people and get PTV, or you could get Berserker stuff if you use the feline thing. But this gives me extra magic find. And the food I'm actually going to be running, along with other foods, is Fire Salsa. Remember, in Season 3, we got the Signet of Agony, a downstate thing that really blew downstate out of the ass. So I'm going to be running this. 20% more damage while downed, and double my downed health to help my Signet of Agony prop me up. I actually think this will not only be fun and weird and kooky and flavorful on a cheap food, but I actually think that this will be reasonably effective on a Weaver that drops lots of rolling AoEs and, might be going downstate a lot because they're running glassy things. So I'm actually going to be running Fire Salsa. There's tons of interesting foods in the game, guys. And I would just say, if you think about the expansion, if you're going to be a long-term Guild Wars 2 player, you get a very short window when the expansion comes out where you are playing on your own, you're in the open world, things don't matter that much, right? And then after that, you're going to be in fractals and you're going to be in raids and stuff, and people are going to be asking you to adhere to various metas and stuff. So why inflict that upon yourself now? Now is your window of opportunity to think for yourself about what's fun, like trait-wise. Like when I'm unlocking Weaver, I'm not going to be picking all damage. I'm going to be picking whatever just seems flavorful and interesting, because the game is not so hard that you have to listen to the top, 5% of people and think about group play. So that's the way I'm going to be tackling this expansion. That's the way I've got this character set up. And yeah, I kind of wanted to share that with you guys. There are some other little things as well that you might be interested in doing, like beyond this. Like, for example, making sure you've got a guild. My guild is currently recruiting. This video is not an excuse to do a guild recruitment, but we're currently running a guild where anyone is welcome to come, EU or NA people. There's a link in my description to my Discord if you want to join. But finding yourself a community of people who are interested in playing and getting the new guild hall and doing stuff like that will probably give you a lot more enjoyment. Action cam is something I've been looking at. So if you guys don't know about action cam, you can totally change the way that the game plays, turn it more into an action adventure experience rather than a clicky kind of MMO. I did that a lot when Heart of Thorns came out, and it was a lot of fun. And I might go back to that. There was a community development recently. Build templates became a thing. Now this is a little buggy and apparently can delete stuff, but build templates and be able to swap your builds very quickly and invent new builds as you play through Guild Wars 1 style is totally a thing if you run Arc these days, so that's something to look at. And then lastly as well, the other thing you might want to consider is your graphics options and audio options and stuff. Like when I play, I'm going back to full screen, not window full screen, absolute full screen. I've actually overclocked my PC a little to give myself as many frames as possible. I'm going to make sure I'm playing with post-processing on, because the devs are a lot better with that now, and you can get a lot more quality and specific stuff happening with that post-processing, like hallucination is attached to some of the mobs in the desert, so that will be a thing. And especially audio, right? Like for the story, remember to hit restore defaults on this. Get the effects volume back up so you can hear the sound of footsteps on your characters. You might think, oh, Guild Wars 2 sounds boring to you at this point, but we're getting a whole new set of elite specs that everyone's going to be playing, so even combat will sound different. There's a whole new beautiful soundtrack that they're going to be releasing. Put the music slider back up for your enjoyment. We're going to all these new areas of the world. There's going to be interesting new environments to listen to and stuff. So I think that this is something as well that people might miss out on if they're long-term established players and they've got all of this stuff messy and they're just expecting to play the expansion while listening to Coldplay in the background. No, take the time to re-immerse yourself, and well, at least that's what I think I'm going to be trying to do. So there you go, guys. That's what I'm doing. That's how I'm preparing for POF. It's not so much for me about hoarding items and currencies and stuff. It's about, really thinking about the kind of experiences I want to have when I'm in there, and taking the time to, take this as a clean slate, a fresh moment, and a fun new opportunity to get to grips with a new character in the game and a whole new world to explore. There you go, guys. Path of Fire will be out tomorrow, so I haven't really given you much time to watch this video and then make those adjustments for yourself. But hopefully you found something interesting about this. And over the first week of Path of Fire, you'll be seeing a lot more of this character, as I'll be giving you an update on how it's been going in there and what the expansion was actually like. So it should be very fun. Cheers, everybody, and I'll see you very shortly.